Good evening, everybody. I'm back for our chat for this week. Really a case of pleading for healing, building a case for healing. Yeah, that sounds more like it. So, yeah, last week I noticed a part of what I had said was not recorded. I don't even know what happened, and I was like, I'll just leave this thing alone. I I couldn't redo it because I knew for sure that it was going to be like different from what I'd created the first time. But I'm just glad most of the message was clear enough, and so I'm just praying that today it just flows well. I'm just hoping a portion will like not be cut off again. Yeah. So, as I mentioned in the introductory video some 2 to 3 weeks back, this should be the third week now since I created that this page really is to talk about what healing is about, share a bit of my story as we go, you know, way of course, to be part of my story as we go. The aim being to encourage somebody out there to reach out for healing, to start their own journey of healing. That's the reason for this page. I am still trying to figure out what we are going to call these chats, like Healing 101 maybe. Yeah, if someone is to find a title, maybe help me out, guys, because right now I'm out of ideas. But then I'm a person who, when I want to stop to want to really structure things, I may take the rest of the year because I've been quite a perfectionist for most of my life. I'm moving away from that, which is progress for me. Moving from wanting things perfect to just being, just being praise, mercy on these lives, and just talking and, hoping someone out there is helped. So, for today, my topic, like I said, was me building a case for healing. Okay, so there's a verse which I'm going to attach to this whole speech for today, this whole conversation we're going to have around healing tonight. And it's on Deuteronomy 1 verse 6. There's a verse which talks about God asking the Israelites, how long are you going to stay on this mountain? Other versions say, you have stayed on this mountain for too long. In other words, it was an instruction for them to move from the mountain where they were now like getting comfortable. They were now comfortable being there. And for them, probably they would have settled there had they not been prompted to move. So it's the same with the things we've been through, the trauma we've experienced. Okay, I did say that I will be concentrating more on those who have been through sexual trauma. That's right. But this is also for anyone who's been through pain, who's been through painful experiences, and they don't know how to move on from there. What I want to tell someone is that it all lies in your decision to move. Sounds too simple, eh? For me, I remember when I was in the space, of self-pity, when you've okay, some of you maybe you don't know. When someone has been through something so invasive as sexual abuse, there's this need to feel pity firstly for yourself, and then it becomes an energy that when you're around people, you sort of weigh them down. Not that we're saying you should stay away from people and all that. Hey, I am just describing what it was like for me. Is that okay? Yeah. I pray you hear my heart as we talk about these things. I did mention last week that when I'm talking about moving forward, when I'm talking about learning to heal, I'm not in any way belittling what you went through, what I have been through. I'm just so glad. I can't believe I'm actually saying this. I'm just so glad I'm able to talk about this from a place of experience. Because I remember when I was seeking help, you know, for healing, I really felt the storm within. But whenever I went to people who had not been through the experience, for me, I would listen for a while, but then I'm like, they just don't hear me. They don't understand because they've not been through what I have. You understand? And so a lot of the times I'll just reject what they were telling me, what they were teaching me, because I would just be like, no, they're just speaking from imagination. They don't know what I've been through. And for a lot of us, I know that could be the reason why we choose to hold on to the pain. We feel it would be injustice for us to just let it go. It would be like just like that. How can I just forget just like that? But then now, this question that I've just asked, how long are you going to stay on this mountain? It's actually asking you and me. Yes, we have been through trauma. Yes, we have been, you know, abused. We've had our choices taken away from us. But for how long are we going to mourn what we've been through? You know, when you lose a loved someone, you would think maybe, I lost my dad when I was just around 12, 13. That's when I lost my dad. I was very young. I was very close to him. And for a very long time, I mourned his death. I remember even when I would go through terrible experiences, like the example I used last week, when we were once left with no choice but to go and work in the homes, like be house helps. I would always go back to wishing my dad was here. Like, if only my dad was here, I wouldn't be going through all this and all that. Huh? But then when we go back to those places, we are reliving the pain. I hope I'm talking to somebody. You know, when you're always, when you choose to be comfortable in the pain, you become that. You know, your life story becomes that of what you've been through. You know, your point of reference becomes like, because I was raped, that's why I'm an angry person. Yes, I used to be an angry person also. Just FYI, a very angry person. Yeah, we'll talk about it as we go. I think I don't want to go there because it will be another, interesting story that I'll be sharing. But what I'm saying is that when you choose to be comfortable in a place of pain, we become that. Even our life has that, you know, aura of pain. Our language is talking hurt. That's what we'll be doing. Like, you don't even realize it because it's something which you'll have cultivated for years. Like for me, I remember I talked about how this happened when I was 7. And now I'm in my mid-30s. Imagine a praise who's always referring to the pain of sexual abuse. Someone, there's this couple who talks about, like, you should not, like, remain with the smoke of the fire you have been through. Yeah, the person is, I'm sure. You know, they talk about how when you choose to remain in a place of your pain, you must be careful, because what you end up doing is to, you know, paint a picture of you know, the sadness. You dwell so much on the sadness, on the probably sleepless nights, of the anger, and when you're doing that, you would then continue to, something just came across my screen and I'm wondering what's that. I'm still learning the ropes, so yeah, bear with me. So we're saying when you choose to hold on to the pain, you become it. Like Tama, who I spoke about last week, how we never hear anything else after what she went through. She just lived a desolate woman in her brother's house, and that was it. Yet you remaining alive means there's so much more to you and what you can give to the world. Just on Friday or Saturdays, it was a session with my mentor. We're in this school, you know, learning the Bible, how to interpret it and what. There's something that she said that was really profound for me. How she said, whatever you have been through does not change the blueprint of who you were created to be. It's life situations that took place, but when you were created, there was this blueprint within you. Okay, there's this praise was created by God, and he said, this is good. That means he endowed praise with giftings, with something, fruit she's supposed to work on to bring out and feed the world. That's where purpose comes in here. Praise was created with a purpose. And obviously the enemy would crush praise anyway he knows how, just for that gift not to come out. So when we choose to stay in the pain, we are choosing to like cooperate with the enemy. We choose to agree with him, like, oh, because I was raped, there's nothing more for my life. That's, oh, thank you for joining, Jonathan. I'm so happy to see you here. I hope you invite more people next time. Yeah, thank you so much for you says we're learning. Wow, I'm so glad that you are. So I was saying, you know, you choose to not work on who you were created to be in the first place and choose to dwell at this place of pain. Yet who you were created to be never changes. Whether you decide to work on it and build on it for you to share who you are with your world, or you choose to just let it die within you, it doesn't change the gift. The giftings of God never change on anyone. Whatever he placed within you is not getting removed because you were through trauma of sorts, because you were through pain. In fact, I've got to learn that the pain is a place of learning who I was created to become. Right? If you look closely enough at the things that caused you pain, you will find there's a message that you, the part that you took probably from the time you got hurt, the battles you fought, how you finally overcame bit by bit, step by step. That is a message for someone else who has been through these things. But then when you choose to not work on it, to closely look at your pain, when you choose to continue ignoring what you have been through, that means someone out there is still going to remain crushed, or because you chose not to, you know, to speak up, to get up from the ashes of your pain and create the beauty that still lies within you. Am I talking to somebody? Right, we are saying, for whatever pain you have been through, you will either choose to remain in there and probably die in the pain, or you are going to choose to arise. Yeah, that's the word I love to use. Yeah, you are going to choose to arise and speak up and talk about how you overcame, because someone out there is waiting to hear your story and get encouraged to also stand up and search for their own healing and search for their own for the person who they really are within, the person who has been covered up by the pain, by the trauma. They are also going to get encouraged to seek that person out, to dig them out. And where do we start? We start by choosing, making the conscious choice that I cannot stay in this place of pain anymore. There are times when you get tired. For me, I know I carried the weight for so long. I was, like I mentioned before, I was a really angry person. I stayed so much in self-pity. I remember I would just sit by myself. Let's say even we've gone to a gathering, I'll just be all by myself. Even I know sometimes, even now, I'm now making conscious effort to actually be present in a group. But I would be in a whole crowd and not even notice anyone around me. I wouldn't even notice what's happening in that place because I'm all in my head. I was living in my head. You know, just thinking, being pitiful of praise, oh, poor praise. What can become of you? Oh, look what happened to you. You will never amount to anything. It's just me, I was telling myself. And no matter how people try to, you know, engage with me, you know, in conversation and all that, I had this attitude that just told people, leave me alone. Yeah, when I'm being naughty and I just want to to keep people away. I have this face that I wear that's just, I actually don't believe I have this air about me that just keeps people at a distance. I'm not too proud of it, and yeah, I'm working on it, but yeah, sometimes there are times when I just feel like, let me just switch it up. Yes, but then now it's a choice of me wanting to actually use it for my own naughty purposes. But before that, it was a nature, a second nature, just, you know, in these cartoons or these sci-fi movies, you'll see someone with a halo around them. Huh? It was something like that for me. Keep a meter away. So for me, this meter distance was happening even before COVID, and I felt so comfortable in there, you know. But then there was a time I noticed, oh no, this is not right. Human beings basically were created to be, you know, relational, you know, interdependent. You know, you find spaces with people probably of like minds. You get to just enjoy other people's company, you know. For me, it was, I became the abnormal one, very comfortable in their own space. I still am comfortable in my own space, but then it's not in, what word can I use there? It's not in an unhealthy way like it used to be before. Right now, I know I'm now more self-aware, you know. I get to hear myself, like, and actually question, why are you in this state? What's happening here? You're feeling so low. But then in those days before I started pursuing healing, I wouldn't even take time to look within, because for one thing, what I know is that a lot of us may you know, hesitate to start healing because it will mean we need to look at the damage that was caused by what we have been through. And a lot of the times it shames us to even look. You know, you're looking at a praise that's not as shiny as the one you're seeing here, the one who is within. Yes, the one on the outside looks like she has all everything together. She's killing it, you know. She's now able to create Facebook Live and whatever. But then there is the praise within. I call them the younger praise. I was taught this by my therapist, Dr. Clinton Kadochi. I hope to invite him one of these days so that we get to like the scientific effects of trauma and all those things, and I've been helped. So I so look forward to sharing my experiences and inviting a number of people who have walked this journey. Even my mentor, Dr. Nelly, I hope to invite you one of these days as we go. Right now we're just chatting, remember. I don't want us to rush this journey, because for someone who is carried, for myself, it should be like at least 18 years or 20 something. I'm failing to do my math on this live item, yeah. But then, yeah, it could be like at least 21 years, right? Yes. And I can say I seriously started pursuing healing, like consciously pursuing it, just in around 2017, 18, thereabouts. Before that, I used to just tell myself I'm okay. Yet how I related with people, how I chose to self-isolate, was pointing to things being anything but okay. Is that okay? Yeah. So we are saying, yes, what happened to you is unfair, and you are justified feeling the way you do, hating on whoever was cruel to you in that manner. But at the same time, we are asking this question tonight: how long are you going to stay on this mountain of the rape that you experienced when you did? Because one thing for sure we know is that nothing is going to change what we've been through. So for me, that's where the journey starts. Like, we need to acknowledge that yes, we are in pain. Yes, we were abused when we did, and then we need to acknowledge that this experience we went through is not going to change. And so what are we going to do about it? Right? Are we going to continue to wallow in self-pity? Are we going to continue, bemoaning what could have been? If only I had screamed loud enough. If only I'd refused to remain behind that fateful day. If only I had not trusted them for them to take me for a drink. Because some, I'm told, these drinks can be, spiked with stuff that causes for someone to not even know what's happening. But those if onlys are not going to change what has already taken place. I really hope you hear my heart on this one. So the decision really to heal is not to in any way say what happened to me doesn't matter. It does matter. That's why you're still in pain, right? While it matters, what are you deciding to do about it? Yeah, that's the question. Are you choosing to remain hurting and crying over what we call spilt milk? There's a proverb that says, in Shona it says, it's a statement. I'm not even sure it's a proverb. It says, demo ndiro rinokanganwa, muti haukanganwi. Translated to English, it says the ex is the one that forgets. The tree that was chopped by that ex never forgets. That's the same with when you go through sexual trauma, when you go through painful experiences. You may never forget, but are you going to build the rest of your life on that event? For a tree that's chopped, as long as the roots are there, you will see sprouts, new leaves sprouting again. If you look closely, I hope you can find maybe a tree that was chopped and was not uprooted. You'll find that the same stem that remained is starting to sprout again. Small, branches start to sprout, It's saying, yes, I was chopped, but I'm choosing to move on. I'm choosing to rebuild from where I was left to die. Yes. Because I know for sexual trauma, it's essentially having your soul crushed. And when your soul crushed, we did, I don't know if I mentioned that in your soul, that's where your emotions reside. Those have been messed up with your mind, your thought patterns are ruined, right? Your willpower is crushed also, because when someone forces themselves on you, they are taking your willpower away from you. They are taking away your choice. Your power to choose is taken away in that moment. But are we saying we are going to remain there? Taking your power back means you choose to acknowledge that, yes, I was hurt, and choosing to be brave enough to look at what sort of damage this has done to you as a person. Like I mentioned, for me, I became a very angry person. I refused to be found in a group or to associate. I just felt I'm alone. And so I actually acted so alone that people, eventually, they just had to leave me alone. You know, have you ever started a conversation with someone and they're just answering in monotones? Hi, how are you? I'm Praise. Nice to meet you. And now they're not even telling you their name in return. I'm so sure you didn't even hear my responses. Yeah. So imagine you're making this effort to get to know this person, and this person is answering you in monotones, or you just hearing a grunts and mumbling. They're just telling you, leave me alone, eh? Yeah. You know, so angry person wants to be left alone, is preaching to themselves how they are pitiable, how they are this worthless person, on and on in the head, until it became something I actually believed. No matter how shiny I was, you know, in school, how I was doing so well, how I would get these, you know, words of affirmation. Oh, you're so good at this. Oh, you're so wonderful. You know, those praises, they did nothing for me. Because praise, the real praise that's emerging now, was buried in a place of, you know, in piles and piles of dirt. That's the after effects of the trauma. That's where she was. And she was, you know, my young sister, I'm so glad my young sister and I were not too far apart age-wise. We're just a year and a half, thereabouts, age difference. So when we talk, you know, now we relate better. We never used to. In the years past, like, who can relate with an angry person? They were actually afraid of me, my siblings, like that. Something I'm not really proud of, but yeah, I'm so glad that when I, you know, consciously started pursuing healing, I relate a lot better with my sister now. There are events she talks about and I can't even remember. Yeah, that's the scientific part. My therapist will explain that as we go. So yeah, you continue being faithful watching this, because one of these days I will actually ask for his permission to be here, and well, yeah, have him shed some light on what trauma does. But what I know, I'm in the physio department for 10 years now, rehabilitation. And the idea that simplifies it, I wrote it some months back, how, you know, a stroke patient, well, I've had the experience of working with a lot of them in our department. What I noticed is that, let's say they have had a stroke that's affected their right side. What I know is that they will only concentrate on the left. Even when they are talking, where their angle of looking is to their left, and even when handling things, this half is usually just you know, flaccid. That's the word. It's weakened. There is no energy. You cannot independently raise your hand or move your leg or anything. Sometimes even the mouth goes to the, you know, stronger side, the unaffected side, like that. So I learned the science that in stroke, the person actually thinks their body is just this half, the unaffected side. Yeah, science for you there. It's really amazing how God created humanity. So when someone has suffered a stroke, the affected side to them is non-existent. To them, it doesn't exist, right? So it means for them, they just recognize this unaffected half. Like I used the example of the right and the left. For them, the left is the only one that exists. So for us, what we do, our work, is to have them get to it's like a resensitization to the existence of this affected side, and helping them get back to function on both. So what do we do? We are now using the healthy side of the body to help the unhealthy side get back to function. So most of the exercises we teach are bilateral, like bilateral hand exercises. This week one is being lifted by the strong one, and even for the legs, the stronger one is the one that's lifting the weaker one. And as we are doing that, you know, the brain gets to rewire, to remember. Yeah, that's the word. As we are encouraging the patient, the client, to use their stronger side to work on this one, that's when they get to recognize that this side actually does exist, huh? And as they do, and even those caregivers, we encourage them, communicate with this person from the affected side. If you can cause for them to sit at an angle, they have to even watch TV on their right, huh? Bring their food to their right, huh? When you talk to them, sit on their right. So in that manner, they are forced to look to that place they had thought was non-existent. I hope I'm making sense, huh? So for the same with trauma, I got to understand that the brain sort of shuts off that memory. You know, it's very deep. It's there, but it's very deep in the subconscious. Like, forget this. It's too painful for you. You cannot be looking at this regularly, else you continue in pain. Because our brain, our psyche basically is created to protect us from the pain. Our brain is trained to anticipate pain and find ways to cocoon us from it, hey? That's why some of the things, even you, maybe even on the day of what happened, you may not even remember how the whole event. You can play it to bits and pieces, but then you cannot really play the full, because your brain has shut it out to protect you from you know, that pain. It's shielding you. But when that goes on for too long, that's where you remain stuck. So when you remain stuck, that means, yes, you may grow, like in age, you may turn 8, 9, 10, 15, 23, 39. Yet the psychologically praise remained at age 7. You see what it does? Refusing to acknowledge the pain, it will cause for you to remain stuck at that place of pain. You'll find even how you relate, especially probably with the opposite sex, is coming from a place of fear. For me, I'm very okay when someone is a friend, but the moment they cross that line, I feel unsafe. And I actually know now these days, I work to not just shut down, you know, like claim up. You know what a pill does? It's all open, and anything falls in there, it claims up. I'm working on that now that I'm aware that I do that. I shut down when I think I've noticed attention or whatever. I'm now working to just remind myself, no, they are not out to cause you harm. They are just a person that's interested to get to know you. Is that okay? I work very hard actually to do that. You have no idea the energy I have to use to you know, keep praise unlocked in, keeping praise from shutting yourself in. You have no idea the work I actually put in to do that. But then it has been a result of me consciously looking at myself. Why do I behave the way I do? How can I work on changing the narrative for myself? What must I do to improve on how I relate without seeming too defensive, without seeming too ready to, draw the sword? Yeah, Praise is a fighter also. She will fight to the death for anything she feels like is an attack on her person. If she feels attacked, which she did a lot years back. I used to feel, and I was always on the defensive like that, ready to just fight for myself. Probably it was the praise now we say, now I have the power to fight for myself. So you did try. And it's unfortunate that for all this fighting that I so wanted to do, it was on people who have absolutely nothing to do with what I've been through. And so it means they are suffering for the transgressions, for the sins of someone else who we don't even know. Of course, maybe they may have the remorse and they may have the regrets, but then we are saying, even if they do, what happened actually did happen, and it's not going to change. Now the decision lies with you, the one who has been through what they have. Are you going to choose to remain feeling pity for yourself, or because you went through what you did? It's something you need to actually just seriously think about. We are saying healing is for you. It's not for whoever did what they did to you. It's you telling yourself you are worthy enough still to move forward and have a life even after pain. In the Bible, the book I love to refer to a lot, there are people who suffered a lot in their lives. They were crushed, they suffered a lot of injustice, yet when the opportunity for them to be in a place of glory, they didn't reject it all because they'd been through painful situations. Like Joseph, you will see that he was 17, he was all naive and unwise, I will say, pompous. That's the word, one of it. For me, that's the fear I have for him, because the way he would go to his older brothers, hey, I had a dream, you were all bowing down to me, even mom and dad. Oh. Humanity actually seeks to punish such. Yeah, and we see it by his life how he actually suffered quite in the hands of those brothers. They're like, let us see. Regati kuone isho na use tuda kuzviona, we want to see it. So in his story we see how his dream caused for his brothers to be resentful of him. He was sold as a slave. But then I'm so grateful for firstborns. Reuben, how he was tactful, actually suggesting they sell him rather than kill him. He still got a bit of protection, but he's sold as a slave, and he's working faithfully in Potiphar's house. But the wife actually sees the potential. She envies you, he's handsome, he's well organized, he's always in her face, doing his thing with insincerity. And what does she do? She now wants him for herself. And when he refuses, you know, I'm sure most of us know the story, how he's thrown in prison. But, you know, what I respect about him is that even in prison, he remained a person of integrity, a person of excellence. You know, that means he chose to live above his situation. He didn't allow it to define him. He could have just been bitter in there, huh? Even with God, like, you gave me dreams that don't come to pass, so why should I now care? But the Bible says he remained faithful. He remained a person of excellence wherever he was. He remained the Joseph we all know, a person who just has this spirit of excellence within. So for me, it also points out what I was saying, that when you go through trauma, it doesn't take away from you those good qualities you always had. Me, I'm seeing it now, because yeah, I used to be very good with acting in school. I think I mentioned it again last week. I was, you know, a great orator. Now, on speech prize giving day, I'll be the one, you know, to narrate the drama. We're going to present a play. It's about this. I was a natural like that. Huh? And somewhere along the way, it had just disappeared, you know. When Praise was buried, this Praise we are now seeing who is emerging, she was buried. Huh? Now I'm now noticing this was there all along. The Praise was able to just talk and talk and talk and and actually enjoy it. She was there all along. And now she's coming out. So when you choose to heal, you're digging up the you that has always been there before the pain you went through. And it starts where, like I said, like the CVA patient, it starts with noticing that this place has been damaged. It starts with acknowledging, yes, I've been hurt. And then looking, how has this pain affected me, and how can I address this thing? You know, and we're saying when you choose to heal, it's for you. You actually feel, for me, I actually love to express it in this manner. Like, I actually feel the fresh air within, you know, how when I don't know if you have, me, I'm an early riser. I love to just go outside early hours of the morning, you know, when there's nothing that has disturbed the peace yet. You must experience the fresh breeze out there, you guys, in the morning, like early. Wow. I can't begin to describe like what it's like, that fresh breeze. Now imagine that breeze within, and then you wonder why I'm always, you know, giggly and bubbly. I wouldn't exchange that for anything, you know. That feeling of just feeling that you know, there's circulation within, huh? It's not all clogged up, you know. When you are continuing to be stuck at a place of pain, it's like your valves that cause for, you know, love and caring and joy to just flow freely within you. Those pipes are clogged. And so when you're starting to heal, you're doing the plumbing work, you know, plumbers. When your sink is clogged, we call those plumbers, and they do their thing, and then water starts to flow well again. That's what you're doing for yourself when you're choosing to heal, right? You are choosing to remove all the dirt and the grime that had you know, buried the you that you truly are. You're doing this for you to live again. I always say something as though it's a joke, like Praise has come alive again. It sounds funny, but then when you're in a place of you know, pain, when you're stuck in there, you're like the living dead. I know I was. So when I'm making reference to this, I am, you know, talking to the me I used to be. Is that all right? You're like the living dead, because like I was saying, you hardly are aware of your surroundings. You don't, probably you don't even care. You're just there. Like the praise, the person is there, but praise emotionally, psychologically, she's just anywhere else but where, but at this place. I remember, for me, I used to always be in my head so much that even when someone is talking to me, I'll just be staring at them, but I cannot even hear what they're saying. And then, you know, sometimes they ask a question, they're expecting me to respond, and I'm just blank staring at them, like, and then I'll be like, oh, huh? You know, I actually come back to myself, because all along I wasn't even there. So are you going to choose to remain the living dead, or you are going to choose to, you know, be brave enough? I know it takes a lot of courage. Oh, excuse me, I need to take some water. I'm saying the journey is not like a walk in the park. No, it's not. And it's not, you know, an easy feat. I know it's not. But I'm encouraging someone today to heal. Dare to look at the mess. I know, like I said, it will cause for the shame to come flooding. It will cause for the guilt. Yet really, the shame and the guilt is not for you to carry. Conventionally, it should be for whoever did what they did. Hey, it should be for them. So you start by telling yourself that I deserve better than to live in perpetual pain. You know, I deserve to enjoy my life. I deserve to you know, engage in a manner that says I'm present in the moment. I never knew how enjoyable it is to just be there and just enjoy people's company like that. I never did. Because every time I was in a group, I was elsewhere. In my head, I was always somewhere else, you know. But then, yeah, I'm so grateful that I somehow found myself on this path. And my hope really is for someone else out there to come back to come to this path of healing. We are saying it's not removing or the magnitude of the pain you went through, but then it will surely cause for you to experience life in a manner that's way better than you have always known. You know, that's what healing will do for you. It will cause for you to come alive again. I think I'll be using this statement a lot often, like healing will cause for the real you to come alive again, for the soul that was crushed to revive again, you know. And then you'll notice that your experiences will be, you know, fresher, more refreshing, more enjoyable than they ever were, all because you chose to you know, begin this journey of healing. So I'm going to end where we started. Like, you have stayed on this mountain for too long. That should be one reason enough to choose to start healing, you know. Just the fact that you've carried the pain for too long, you know, years and years of, you know, self-pity and creating negative thought patterns around, you know, what happened to you. It's enough. So you wanting to live a life that's of true joy within will start with you choosing to heal. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do tonight. Choose to heal, not because the injustice went away, but because we are realizing that it is not going to change. If we choose to remain in a place of, you know, mourning and pain and self-pity and tears, and it's not going to change. And life is not waiting. Yes, though life, what I know is that it gives you a moment to grieve. But when people are quick to just move on, that's just how it is. And we cannot continue to blame people like, oh, how can they be so cruel to me? Don't they know what I went through? But that line, that way of, you know, of thinking, of doing life, you know, like expecting everyone to just drop everything because you went through what you went through, it has a time frame, you know. There's a time when people will be like, you know, sharing your feelings with you, comforting you, you know, taking time to just sit, oh, and this happened, and oh, that happened. Yeah, that's the part that got cut off. I'm so glad it's coming back. I remember when I was starting last week, I was like, we could sit here and have me, you know, describe how, oh, and this is what happened, and this relative did what they did, and you know, when I was now working as a maid, this is what happened to me. And we could, you know, like take out tissue probably and start, you know, wiping the tears, going on and on. But if we were to choose that pathway, you know, because it was an event, there's a point where it will just stop. Because probably whatever happened, of course it may have happened even for 10 years or 5 years or however long it happened for you or for me. But then we are saying, when we dwell on the past is an expiry date of, you know, being impressive. Yeah, the only history I've known for myself, the only history that I still enjoy is the one in the Bible, you know, see how God did this for who and what. That's the only history that I actually enjoy. And who can even live in their past anyway? That's another reason to choose to, you know, move forward. Start your journey of healing. Be brave enough to just look in the broken pieces. And when you're rebuilding those, you're not like going back to who you used to be, because that can never happen. When you go through things, there's things that change about who you are. But let the change be to a person who's more resilient, you know. Let you change. You are really allowed to change, but let it be a story of how you grew in resilience, in strength, in inner strength, because of what you have been through. You can't remain a pile, you know, of rubble, you know, a whole broken pile that's just still there. That's just still, you know, there. Because someone is waiting for your story of how you overcame, so that they too can now, you know, start to arise. So yeah, I think for tonight, we are done talking. So I know, like I mentioned, I don't know if I did or it was with someone else I was just talking to. I know that for a lot of people who have been through sexual trauma and things like this, it's not an easy thing to actually come out and say, I've experienced this, I need help. Or because a lot of the times people want to ask what happened, and the last thing one wants to talk about is to, you know, like describe that experience again. You become like, you know, a spectacle of shame. Eh? You are put, a spotlight is put on you, and everyone is asking you to describe something that you are even ashamed to even start to think about, huh? But I pray that eventually this will become a safe space for us to talk. I'm actually on a path of you know, creating a proper, you know, setup of how we will do this, like with people, people with real life issues of this sexual abuse. Right, it's unfortunate that a lot of, you know, paperwork and requirements are still, you know, to be followed through. But then I'll not you know, preempt prematurely, but as soon as I have my house in order, I'll announce, like, the place is now there. We have this space where we can address these issues as people who have been through this, like people have been through the experience. Me just being a storyteller to tell someone I was there where you are now, and this is how I walked my path, and I know you can do it too, because here I am. Like, what better encouragement can there ever be aside from someone who's saying, I have walked where you have walked and I overcame? That's my dream really with this healing hub. Even the trust that I'm looking to have established, it's actually in the pipeline right now. It's just to be an example of how one can walk the journey to overcome. Hey, so I'm so grateful for this opportunity to share, and I pray that this video will meet up with the people that it's looking for, you know, the people who don't have the hope. I pray the hope comes from this very page. When you listen to me talk, when we just sort of like interact like this, someone out there would dare to get up and start to pursue the journey of healing, because I know it can be done. I'm still a work in progress also. Hey, so it will be you and me both walking this journey together. So good night, ladies and gentlemen. We meet again next week, hopefully. Cheers.